Here's your latest California housing market update. And I have good news, but I also have bad news as well. The good news is that there's 39% more houses for sale compared to 1 year ago. So depending on where you're looking, you'll likely see more options to choose from if you're looking to buy a house. The other bit of good news is that home prices are no longer skyrocketing and mortgage rates have decreased substantially over the past 1 year. However, though, even though home price growth has been slowing down, we're not too far off the all-time record high that was set just a few months ago. In today's California housing market update, I'll share an update regarding home prices, housing inventory, home sales, and also price reductions, and of course, much more as well. And stay tuned toward the very end of this video here because, as I always say, every housing market's different. I'm going to share the trends we're seeing today in California, how that compares to other states such as Arizona, Texas, and Florida. Also, this is part one of my two-part video series I make each and every month for you guys regarding the California housing market. This video is based on what's happening right now at the statewide level. Part two, which will be posted in, let's just call it next week, will be going over how each of the counties fared because, of course, there's some very big differences. So make sure you're subscribed, and I'll definitely keep you posted with the latest developments on that. With that said, I have a lot to share in today's video, so let's begin. So here's a slideshow I pulled from the California Association of Realtors website. And by the way, they do a fantastic job analyzing the data regarding what's happening. This slideshow is like 60 pages long, but I whittled it down to the pages that I think are most important. In any case, here is the most recent trends we have from them. And by the way, they're only looking at existing single-family houses, so excluding condos, townhomes, and of course excluding multifamily properties and brand new home construction. So only looking at the resale market. This is for August, just posted a couple of days ago. So so home sales rose by 2.8% year over year, and also small gain so far this year compared to January, we're up by 0.5%. Home prices based on the median sale price is just under $889,000. That means that of all the houses that closed escrow or the sale was finalized in August, half sold below that amount and half sold above that amount. 889,000 compared to the just over 400,000 on a national level. That's the median sale price. So that's up by 3.4% year over year. So 1 year ago in California, we were at 860,000. Now we're approaching 890,000. Also, the month supply is at 3.2 months, still relatively low levels, especially compared to 06 through 08, which I'll share that with you guys in a little bit. But 3.2 months, that is a big increase compared to 1 year ago, a giant increase up by 33%. Days in the market is at 22 days. So houses on average, it takes about 3 weeks to sell a house. So you list your home for sale, about 3 weeks later, you get an offer accepted or you accept an offer from home buyer. But that is an increase of 25.7% year over year. So 1 year ago, days in the market was at 18 days. So therefore, not a lot of movement regarding days in the market. Houses still selling fairly quickly here in California. A gain of 3 days compared to 1 year ago. All right, let's talk about home sales. I have a lot to share regarding that. So it says here, sales in August slipped to the lowest level in about 7 months. It did increase from 1 year ago, up by nearly 3%, but a giant decrease down by 6.3% compared to the previous month, which of course was July. Something I thought that was kind of interesting though, this is of course the measure of closed home sales, right? So it's very much a lagging indication of our housing market. But pending home sales, a measure of offers being accepted between buyers and sellers, actually increased by the biggest year-over-year gain since May of 2021. So closed home sales, a lag indication, is pointing to a slowdown in sales because we're down greatly, down by 6.3% from 1 month ago. But on a year-over-year basis, pending home sales posted the biggest increase since May of 2021. Therefore, we could see a slight improvement regarding closed home sales in the coming months due to this uptick in pending home sales. One thing is for certain though, looking at this graph, which goes back to January 2005, I mean, just look at the lack of sales really ever since the middle of 2022. We saw a sharp correction in sales then, and then we've been kind of maintaining this low level in sales, basically on par with 2007 and 2008, way below looking at 2011 through 2019, when back then we had around 400,000 home sales, on average each month. Now we're less than 300,000 right now. The California Association of Realtors also looked at the percent change in home sales by price range. And it says here the sales growth at the top end of the market has slowed down. So sales at the upper range right here are barely squeaking out a gain compared to the biggest increase, or the big increase we saw back in April and May. In fact, I think I have a note regarding that. The upper end of the market is still higher compared to 1 year ago, but it is notably slowing down. So for example, in May this year, sales of over $2 million in California rose by a staggering 30% compared to May of 2023. So up by 30% year over year back then. Now we're only up by 6%. Also in the range of $1 million to $2 million, it increased by 3% this August, but back in May, it rose by 9%. So the market of more expensive properties was increasing at a much faster clip during the spring home buying season compared to this August. And of course, we're seeing a lack of home sales for less than $500,000, down by 6% in the range of $400 to $499, and of course, big decreases for less than that. Something that I found to be interesting as well, is this right here. This is the percent of home sales for over $1 million this August. So about 1/3 of all home sales in California in August were for over $1 million. Not a big difference compared to 1 year ago. Back in 23, that share was at 32%. So we definitely pay to live in California. If you guys are living in California and watching today's video. And if you are, please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. Anyways, something you guys should also be aware of as well is this right here. So let me just kind of take you back to memory lane back in 2019. So back in May of 2019, the share of houses that sold in the range of zero, let me know if you guys got a house for free, but less than $500,000 was at 45%. So 45% of all home sales were less than $500,000. And sales for over $1 million was only about 20%. Look what happened once COVID hit though. Sales less than $500,000 tanked, yet sales for over $1 million absolutely increased. And right now that share at 33.5% are selling for over $1 million, but only 22.9% sold for less than $500. So a sharp turnaround compared to pre-COVID levels. And this is really due to the fact that home prices have increased so much over the past 5 years. So remember when I said that closed home sales were decreasing compared to 1 month ago, but still increased from 1 month ago or 1 year ago. So that's a lagging indication, but here is pending home sales, a measure of a future indication of closed home sales. Looking at closed home sales mostly for September and maybe a little bit in October as well. So pending home sales posted the biggest increase compared to 1 year ago since May of 2021. So it rose by 7.7% year over year. This is quite a bit different compared to September of 2022. Back then, pending home sales basically tanked. They decreased down by 50% compared to 2021. It has been, in negative territory for quite some time, but is increasing right now, up by 7.7%. So I would not be surprised to see closed home sales increase further once we get September's numbers in about 1 month's time. All right, let's talk about home prices. Based on the median sale price, $888,740, so just under $890,000. That's an increase of 0.2% compared to the previous month and up by 3.4% year over year. But that is the smallest year over year gain in about 11 months. Now, of course, I have a lot more to share regarding that. I want to share my own analysis of CAR's data. Again, only looking at the median sale price of existing single-family detached houses. I just added these two columns and some other analytics as well. So let's talk about what happened this August. So this is based on home prices for closed home sales for the month of August, of course, which is mostly based on offers being accepted between buyers and sellers in the previous month, which of course was July. Back in July, according to Freddie Mac, for the average 30-year fixed rate, we were at 6.85%. At that time, that was a 3-month low. Also, rates have been coming down ever since then. At the time of filming this video, which is on September 20th, we basically have rates or average rates for people with great credit in the low 6% range. So rates have been coming down quite a bit ever since really July this year, which will likely, we'll have to see about this, could cause an increase in closed home sales in the coming months, as indicated by that gain in pending home sales that we saw in August, like I just shared with you guys. Also, by the way, it is actually normal to see home prices peak each and every summer, and these figures based on prices are not seasonally adjusted. Also, looking at the all-time record high that was set back in May this year, it was just over 908,000. Now we're at basically 889,000. So we're only down by about $19,000 from the all-time record high that was set just a few months ago. Looking at the year-over-year change, up by 3.4%. This is actually an improvement compared to 1 year ago. Back in August last year, we saw a gain of 3%. But this year, we saw a gain of 3.4%. This marks the 14th consecutive month of year-to-year gains after we had 8 consecutive months of decreases compared to the previous year. However, the 3.4% increase is lower than the long-run average going back to 2010. So for example, the long-run average going back to 2010 is an increase of 8.3%, whereas this year we saw a gain of only 3.4%. So home prices are still up compared to 1 year ago, but the gains are much lower than the long-run average. But having said that, we're still up more so compared to the same time frame back in 2023, when at that time we're up by 3%. Also, this is the correction we saw in 22. So from November 22 through June of 2023, we saw a decrease in home sold prices compared to the previous year. The peak right here was back in April 2023, a decrease of 8.2%. So quite a bit of quite the turnaround compared to the correction we saw in early 2023. All right, let's also talk about the month-to-month change. That actually increased by 0.2% compared to July, which is actually a turnaround as well, because in June and July, we saw a decrease in closed home sales compared to the previous month. But this August, compared to July, we saw a gain of 0.2%. Something I found to be interesting as well, I made a video yesterday regarding what's happening right now at the national level, according to data from NAR, or the National Association of Realtors. And looking at national trends, this August compared to July, compared to the previous month, we saw a decrease in prices down by 1.4%. But in California, we saw a gain up by 0.2%. Having said that though, the gain of 0.2% is actually much lower than the long-run average, because historically speaking, this is July through August each and every year going back to 2010 is a gain of 2.2%. Whereas this year, a small gain up by only 0.2%. But wait, there's more. I want to share how this gain up by 3.4% compares to years past. So the change in home prices from August 18 through August 2019, obviously pre-COVID levels, rose by 3.6%. So on par with what we're seeing this August. However, we saw a 5.4% gain in 2018, a 7.2% increase from August 2016 through 17, but not nearly as bad as a giant decrease we saw in August 08 through August 2009, a giant decrease down by nearly 17%, whereas this year we saw a gain up by 3.4%. What's also astonishing as well, and I know it's buying a house in California is a challenge if you want to buy a first home. Home prices here are high levels compared to the national average, basically double compared to the national average. making it very challenging to buy houses here in California. I get it. So looking at prices compared to August of 2020 compared to August this year, an increase of 26%. But 5 years ago, a giant increase up by 44%. All right, going back to the slideshow, let's talk about the sale price to final list price ratio. That has been at 100% for quite some time, which means out of all the houses that did sell in California this August, they sold for the seller's final list price. Not a lot of movement regarding that, but it is much different compared to the craziness we saw in 21 and 22, when houses on average were selling about 4% over asking, but also much better than the 96% we saw back in early 2023, when houses on average were selling 4% less than asking. So quite the volatility over the past several years, to say the least. Also, here's a share of houses that sold above the seller's asking price. So 40.3% sold over asking, but this means that 60% sold below asking or at the asking price. This is lower compared to 1 year ago when we were at 47%, and also about half the share we saw during the craziness of the spring home buying season of 2022. I'm actually glad that is over. That was such a challenging market for buyers. I just can't get over it. Anyways, this is something interesting as well, because your average monthly housing payment actually is negative for the first time since July of 2020. Let me kind of break this down for you guys, and let me just share the next slide here. So this decrease in your average monthly housing payment, which means that your housing payment this August compared to August last year should be less when talking about average home prices and of course average mortgage rates. But we all know that prices rose, right? So home prices increased by 3.4% compared to 1 year ago. So the reason why this is negative, in other words, your housing payment's less today compared to 1 year ago, is due to the fact that rates actually decrease. So looking at that previous slide, 1 year ago, the average rate, this is August last year, according to Freddie Mac, just under 7.1%. This August, it decreased to 6.5%. So housing affordability is improving due to decreasing rates, but not due to decreasing home prices, because of course we're still up by 3.4%. All right, moving on, let's talk about inventory levels. So the month supply of this August is only at 3.2 months. 1 year ago, we were at 2.4 months. I really love this chart looking at the month supply right now. By the way, 3.2 months means that if no more new listings hit the market, in other words, if new listings stopped altogether, and we had the current sales pace that we're seeing today, then all houses listed for sale would be sold in 3.2 months. Look at September of 2007 though. Back then, the month supply was around 16 months. So back then, it would take 16 months to sell all houses that were listed for sale back then, and now we're only at 3.2 months. Therefore, the month supply back in 2007, 2008 was basically 5 times higher than the levels we're seeing right now. This, my friends, is one of the reasons why I kind of scratch my head regarding people thinking that we're going to see a correction in home prices just like we saw back in 2008. Where is the supply going to come from? Now, speaking of housing supply, it did increase though. It has been increasing steadily all year. So according to CAR, active listings, which is the amount of houses for sale, reached its highest level in nearly 2 years. So something to keep in mind here is that, right now we're higher than any other month this year and 2023, but not as high compared to 2022. And on top of that, not nearly as high compared to 2018 or 2019. In fact, we have they don't give me the actual numbers, but just kind of eyeballing this, looks like we have approximately 40,000 homes for sale this August, compared to around 55,000 to around 60,000 back in the same time frame in 2018 and 2019. So in other words, it's great to see that we have a lot more houses to choose from if you're looking to buy a house, but we still have less homes for sale compared to 2 years ago, and we have a lack of supply compared to looking at pre-COVID levels. which is much different when looking at other states, for example, like in Florida and Texas, which I'll share that with you guys here in a little bit. Also, inventory is up by 39.2% year over year, like I mentioned at the very beginning of this video. Part of the increase is the lack of sales, but also due to the fact that we're seeing more new supply hitting the market. In fact, new listings rose by 16% from August of 2023. So there's approximately 21,901 new listings that hit the market. That's obviously higher compared to 1 year ago, but less than any other August going back to at least August of 2018. So, it's great to see we're seeing more supply in the market, but we're way below the past several years. So for example, let's see if I added this here. We're seeing a gain up by 16% year over year, but we're still down by about 29% compared to August of 2018. So a long ways to go to have some more normalcy in our housing market here in California. In regards to the share of price drops, we're at 36.1% this August, which actually is a decrease compared to the previous month, but also are way down compared to the craziness of 2022 when it peaked at around 45%. Now, something I want to share with you guys is this right here. This is altosresearch.com, of course, a different website. Here's a share of price drops on a national level. The most recent trends we have from them is actually more recent. The week ended September 13th, one day before my birthday, actually, at 39% on a national level. Look at California, though. Same chart here, same time frame. So 39% on a national level. In California, we are at 33%, so lower than the national average. Look at Arizona, though. Arizona, we're at 43%, quite a bit higher compared to the national average. Florida, different animal, 45%. Texas is at 43%. So the share price drops in California is less than the national average, less than Arizona, less than Florida, as well as less than Texas. And why is that? The reason is, one of the reasons, is inventory levels. So here's inventory levels in California. So right now, around 46,000 homes for sale, much higher compared to 1 year ago, but basically on par with the same time frame in 2022, but of course higher compared to 20, but much less than compared to pre-COVID levels. Back in late September, we had around 63,000 homes for sale in California. Now again, here we only have about 46,000. So again, higher than last year, basically on par with 2022. Of course, higher compared to 20 and 21, but still have fewer homes for sale compared to 2019. Arizona, different animal. Arizona has more homes for sale than any other week going back to at least 2019. Look at Florida. In Florida, they have the highest number of home sales for any week since at least September 27th of 2019. So inventory absolutely skyrocketing in Florida. Around 84,000 homes for sale. 1 year ago, only 52,000. At the same time frame in 22, 51,000. Now there's approximately over 30,000 more homes for sale than the peak of 2022, at least during the same time frame. So inventory exploding in Florida. Same goes for Texas. I mean, Texas has far more homes for sale compared to pre-COVID. 114,000 homes for sale. 2019, only 95,000. Much different compared to California, where we have a lack of houses for sale, historically speaking. It just goes to show how every housing market's different. Inventory piling up in Florida and Texas, whereas in California, even though we're up compared to 1 year ago, we still have far fewer looking at 2019. With that said, if you guys got any value of today's video, then please hit the like button. Also, if you guys want a real estate agent referral anywhere in California or nationwide, check out my website, which is realestateteamfinder.com. Or if you're looking to buy or sell a house in the greater Sacramento area, please email me at jason@meetjasonwalter.com. I'll provide a link in the video description below for that. And of course, you can go to my, my website as well for that as well. Hope you guys have an awesome day. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you guys are still watching today's video, here's a virtual high five. I appreciate it so much. Have an amazing day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.